Did you know that BRICS, an alliance of emerging economies, is now bigger and more powerful than ever? With its latest expansion, BRICS is challenging the global dominance of Western powers like the G7. But here's the twist, there's a brain teaser waiting for you at the end of this video. Stay till the end, and let's see if you can crack it. Plus, I want to know your thoughts on the ultimate showdown, BRICS versus G7. Let's dive in. Let's start with the basics. BRICS stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The idea of BRICS was first coined in 2001 by economist Jim O'Neill, who saw these nations as the next big drivers of global economic growth. By 2010, South Africa joined, making it the five-member bloc we know today. Together, these nations account for over 40% of the world's population, and nearly 25% of global GDP. BRICS was created to give emerging economies a stronger voice on the world stage and challenge institutions, like the IMF and World Bank, which have traditionally been dominated by Western powers. This year, BRICS made headlines with a historic expansion. New members include Egypt, Ethiopia, Iran, the UAE, and Indonesia, the world's fourth most populous country. Why does this matter? Well, BRICS now represents nearly 45% of the global population, and controls 35% of the world's GDP when measured by purchasing power parity. That's massive. Indonesia's inclusion is particularly significant. As a growing economic powerhouse in Southeast Asia, its membership brings new opportunities for regional influence. Iran and the UAE, rich in energy resources, strengthen BRICS' position in global energy markets. Fun fact, with the expansion, BRICS nations now produce over 40% of the world's crude oil. That's more than OPEC. So, why did BRICS decide to expand? Let's break it down. 1. Economic cooperation. Expansion opens doors to increased trade and investment among member nations. 2. Energy security. Countries like Iran and the UAE bring vast energy reserves to the table. 3. De-dollarization. BRICS nations are pushing to trade in local currencies, reducing dependence on the US dollar. 4. A multipolar world. The expansion is a direct challenge to Western dominance, promoting a more balanced global order. What do you think about this move to reduce reliance on the dollar? Share your opinions in the comments below. Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, is joining BRICS. This isn't just a new name on the list, it's a seismic shift in global economics. But what does it mean for Nigeria, Africa, and the world? Nigeria is often called the giant of Africa, and for good reason. It's the continent's largest oil producer and has a rapidly growing population, expected to surpass 400 million by 2050. That would make it the third most populous country in the world, after India and China. Its GDP is currently over $500 billion, and it plays a vital role in the African Continental Free Trade Area, connecting major economies across the region. So, why does BRICS want Nigeria? Simple: influence, resources, and representation. Nigeria brings a strategic position in energy markets, a massive consumer base, and leadership in African affairs. It's a perfect fit for BRICS' mission of countering Western economic dominance. With Nigeria on board, BRICS isn't just a group of emerging economies anymore, it's a global powerhouse. First, energy. Nigeria's oil reserves significantly boost BRICS' influence in global energy markets, challenging the dominance of the G7 countries. Second, trade. Nigeria's participation strengthens intra-BRICS trade, especially with its booming markets for technology, agriculture, and infrastructure. Third, politics. Adding Nigeria means BRICS is no longer dominated by Asia and South America. Now, Africa has a bigger voice in shaping global policies. But Nigeria also gains from this partnership. It can access BRICS' new development bank, reducing dependency on Western financial institutions like the IMF and World Bank, which often impose strict conditions. For Nigeria, this partnership comes with major opportunities. Infrastructure investments. BRICS could fund critical projects in energy, transportation, and healthcare, addressing Nigeria's long-standing infrastructure gaps. Economic diversification. Joining BRICS could help Nigeria move away from an over-reliance on oil by boosting sectors like agriculture, tech, and manufacturing. Geopolitical influence. Nigeria's voice will be amplified in global decisions, giving Africa stronger representation on issues like climate change and trade policies. But it's not all smooth sailing. Critics worry about potential over-reliance on BRICS nations like China, whose investments sometimes lead to debt traps. Nigeria will need to tread carefully. Nigeria joining BRICS doesn't just change things for Africa, it changes the world. It's a clear message that the balance of power is shifting. Emerging economies are uniting to challenge the dominance of Western-led institutions like the IMF, World Bank, and even the US dollar. With Nigeria in the mix, BRICS now represents over 40% of the global population and more than a quarter of the world's GDP. This move could reshape global trade, diplomacy, and energy policies for decades to come. So, what's next for Nigeria and BRICS? Will this partnership help Nigeria unlock its full potential? Or will it face challenges balancing new opportunities and existing risks? One thing is certain, the global economic landscape is changing, and Nigeria is now at the center of it. Now, let's talk about how this impacts the global economy. With the new members, BRICS nations control a significant portion of global energy and natural resources. This gives them enormous leverage in international trade and geopolitics. Additionally, the new development bank, set up by BRICS, is now poised to fund large-scale projects in infrastructure, healthcare, and education. This could provide alternatives to Western financial institutions like the World Bank. Did you know? The BRICS countries now contribute more to global GDP than the G7. This expansion is not just economic, it's deeply geopolitical. With nations from Africa, Asia, and the Middle East joining, BRICS is now a truly global alliance. Take Indonesia, for example. Its inclusion in BRICS has sparked discussions about how this affects its relations with countries like Japan and Australia. Some experts believe it's a strategic move to align more closely with emerging economies. Do you think BRICS could become more influential than the G7? Let me know in the comments. But it's not all smooth sailing. BRICS faces significant challenges. 1. Internal divisions. India and China have ongoing border disputes, and Iran remains under heavy sanctions. 2. Economic disparities. Members have vastly different economic systems and priorities. 3. Western criticism. Some view BRICS as a bloc of authoritarian regimes pushing back against liberal democracies. Looking ahead, BRICS has ambitious plans. Discussions are underway about creating a common currency to facilitate trade, and future members like Saudi Arabia and Argentina could join their bloc. So, what does the future hold for BRICS? Will it reshape the global order, or will internal challenges slow it down? Now, here's your brain teaser. If BRICS nations decide to create a common currency, what challenges would they face in convincing their citizens to adopt it? Comment your answers below, and don't forget to share your opinion on the ultimate debate, BRICS versus G7, who will lead the future? If you enjoyed this video, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for more. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more insights from Curious Capital.